Okay. Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Welcome. You are tuned into That Girl, Jenna Karasoa. Let me get Facebook going over here. All right. Hey, you have tuned into That Girl, Jenna Karasoa, here on Anchor FM and as well Facebook and YouTube. It is nice to see everyone. Let me make sure my YouTube is still going on because I've kind of messed up the browser. One of those things with me. I don't do technology well. Okay. All right. That's cool. All right. I can do that. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure that streams was still going. I hope everyone's doing well. If not, sorry. If I waste your time, sorry. Anyways, let me just get the tabs open really fast and give you a quick overview of what we'll be talking about. If this is your first time ever hearing me or seeing me, you've tuned into That Girl, Jenna Karasoa. Again, I'm streaming live on Anchor FM, Facebook, YouTube, and at any point in time and day you're consuming this content, I hope you're doing well. About Latina farm workers and their safety and well-being, higher mental illness, stress, anxiety. It's very unsafe conditions, very extreme weather, physical safety, mental well-being. So bringing awareness to that, as well as the immigration crisis going on at different borders, the necessity of getting people the appropriate resources and shelter because we do have sufficient space for everyone. It's just getting the right resources and the process, of course. I also mentioned yesterday that we also need to be cautious because if we look to what has happened in other countries, Europe and Sweden, there's been a spike in sexual assault, and it's oftentimes attributed to the migrant immigrants. Not all of them, but again, it's something that we need to be cautious about, take into account, be very smart, vet, and be quick to deport if there's going to be problems. That's pretty much my argument. Let's find the delicate balance between what is right and good to help your fellow man, but also keeping everyone safe and protected. Always need to focus on strong families, focus on the most vulnerable, which is children and the women. So if you're seeing like a horde of men coming in for asylum, I find it really difficult to have compassion or patience when like if you guys are having wars or issues and complicated than that. But let's not try and sit here and pretend like that doesn't seem kind of suspicious when you get like a horde of men coming in like by the thousands, and then other countries are exhibiting spikes in violent crimes and assault. So that's why I say we got to take it with a delicate balance, be cautious, don't be dumb and just like, okay, yeah, open borders. Because my argument is everyone who's like for open borders and completely like flooding the country with people, I have to ask you, do you lock your doors at night? Do you lock your car when you go places? Honest question. Anyway, but for today, let me bring up my wonderful talking points. Sorry, I can't keep my notebooks on my lap. They keep falling. Anyways, like I said, you've turned into That Girl, Jenna Karasoa, on my Friday series. I call it Freaky Stuff Fridays because I like to talk about weird stuff. No, it's not sexual stuff. It's just weird flicks, paranormal or creepy or coincidences or like, what? Like, really? So I live in a country town, a small town. And, if you've ever watched that show, Courage the Cowardly Dog, he's always talking about freaky stuff happening in the middle of nowhere. Well, that's essentially what you got going here in the country life. Don't let the little humble people fool you. I'm just kidding. It's just lots of, it's a middle of California farming community, so a lot of things just kind of cross over as like a hub. Very accurate. So with that, let me go ahead and transition to my first segment. Oh yeah, I was going to tell you what to talk about. Well, I'm in a mood. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm in a mood. So I'm sure many of you have heard that series, Adam Ruins Everything. Well, guess what? Jenna ruins everything too. So I'm going to do some anti-movie reviews. Not really full length, but something that, most people like and they smile and laugh. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Well, I'm going to give you the reality. It's not so cute anymore. And then after that, segment 2, I want to talk about my favorite movie, 12 Monkeys, because I just love that movie. And last section, which technically should be the first, but I'm going to make it last only because it's going to just wrap everything up. I'm going to talk about the Lord's Prayer, and I'm going to talk about the Holy Bible, and I'm going to explain to you why, like, when people be like, hey, stop talking about the Bible, we don't want to hear about your God stuff, we don't care that you're a Christian, I'm like, I don't care, and this is off, because I seem to do that so well, and let me do my favorite movie review, which is 12 Monkeys. They got this quote in it, they talk about Fresno, California. I love it. Anyways, again, you've tuned into That Girl Named Kurosawa on Anchor FM, Facebook, YouTube. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and I'm sure something else. So with that, let me go ahead and put my little notes in and transition to the next segment. And at any point in time you're consuming this content, day, night, or evening, I do hope you're having a good day. And if not, and if I waste your time, I sincerely apologize for that. So let me get started. Well, I have about 5 or 6 movies here that a lot of people like. Have anyone seen that movie? Thank God for Christmas. A lot of people like that one. Bolt with Miley Cyrus and John Travolta, the animated Disney movie. Hairspray also has John Travolta in there. A Bug's Life and Inception. So let me go through these little movies and give you my anti-movie reviews on them. So starting with Thank God It's Friday. It is Friday. I titled my segment Freaky Stuff Fridays, and for anyone who's got their mind in the gutter, I don't really know. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I was just like, would anyone like sincerely be interested in like relationship advice? Like, how do you talk to a woman? Like, what can you translate female for us? Is anyone sincerely interested? Because if you're interested, I've got lots of tidbits and stuff about relationships and dating. So if you're interested, I can possibly do an additional segment on that. Oh no, oh dear, a little marshmallow dude. You won't believe what I just did. This is what I'm talking about, like me and technology. I need to hire a crew or someone because, okay, never mind. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Why do I have 2 tabs open? Because I'm over here thinking my YouTube stream's not going. And it's still going. And then I guess there's 2 different windows. Somehow this mousey thingy decided to mess up. And I don't know what's going on. This is why, Lord save me. Just Lord save me, because Lord knows I don't know what I'm doing. I'm supposed to be talking. I'm trying to get my streams up. Google Chrome. Here we go. All right, that's still going. Huh. Wow, how amazing is that? Anyway, so back to all seriousness. We were talking about my anti-movie reviews. So let us plays at a disco in the 70s. It's got the handsome Jeff Goldblum and some other people I don't know because they're not really relevant. Only Jeff Goldblum's character matters. But he's the owner of this nightclub. Oh, Diana Ross is in there too, the Commodores. I'm just kidding. It's actually a great cast. But find relationships. You've got the classic high school girls breaking into the disco, trying to win a dance contest, stuff like that. And it's just different people's interactions throughout the day or throughout the night. And of course, everything takes place in one evening. And it's just a good old, feel-good movie where like the underdogs, they come out on top and all the bad stuff happens. And then you think, oh, they're not going to find happiness. And then at the end, everything comes together. Like the 2 single people who are trying to find happiness at the end, of course, they come together. And it's just one of those movies where you're like, yeah, I had a great time at the disco. Okay, reality, ruins everything. Like, come on now. Like, if that were really to happen in real life, honestly, what really, really happens, it's depressing. In that movie, the married couple, there was a couple of people who were trying to interfere with the relationship, and unfortunately, people don't pass the test too often, and affairs happen. Teen girls breaking into the disco, one of the ways that they were able to break in was someone snuck them in through the bathroom, the men's bathroom, and they were able to get into the dance club, and they were able to actually win, amazingly enough. Wow, crazy, huh? Yeah, like, does that really happen in real life, or do people get, do women end up getting taken advantage of and hurt in situations like that? That's the world that we live in. Like, we encourage high school students to go dance and everything, or go hang out in the disco or in clubs, or things where I'm like, come on, let's just be real. it doesn't usually happen that way, but that's why we watch the movies. We kind of get out of our heads and out of reality, but when women especially come across the border to find a place of refuge with their children, oftentimes it's not as simple, oh, we're just going to jump over and here we are. It's a lot more devastating sometimes. It's a lot more scary and tragic. And Hollywood likes to paint a beautiful picture of a family coming into the States and then getting a career or a job with an American family. And there's a lot more heartache and stuff. And it doesn't paint a very accurate picture about the immigration process, especially for young women, especially for children. Story, great moral lessons that can be taught. You should definitely watch it, though. I love it. Spanglish, great. Again, I have to ruin everything. I'm like, her trip across the border, probably more often than not as smooth as it was depicted in the film. Probably not as smooth. Let me continue though with me ruining everything. Bolt. Has anyone seen Bolt with the animated Disney one with John Travolta and Miley Cyrus, where like she's like a, what is it, one of those child stars on a TV show, and then she's got her dog Bolt who gets separated from her, and then like he's trying to race across the country and like find her again or whatever. So I used to love, actually, I didn't really particularly like that one. My kids loved it, of course, but I'm thinking like, okay, child star, at the very, very end, there's a fire, and like she gets rescued by her dog Bolt. And she ends up, her and her mother end up living out in the country in a little farmhouse, and they got the dog and then this cat that they adopt, and everyone lives happily ever after. Do you really think that's really accurate about the film industry, and especially about child stars, and especially about Miley Cyrus? Do you really think that she's free from the industry? Do you really think people like Britney Spears and Rose McGowan and Corey Feldman and the gentleman from Linkin Park who passed, do you really think that they're all free from this? Britney Spears is just recently getting out of the trap. Like, let's be honest, that movie is just complete fiction. It's cute to think that the film studio or whatever, it burned down, and like John Travolta's dog character rescues Miley Cyrus's cartoon character and she's safe. Do you really want to believe that? Sarah, I gotta ruin everything for you. It's probably not reality at all. The movie Hairspray, also, interestingly enough, has John Travolta, Queen Latifah, and Christopher Walken. And I love when he dances, especially when he's dancing with John Travolta. It's great. So let me just ruin everything for you guys. They're trying to say that like there's no beauty standard in Halloween or Latifah or Michelle Pfeiffer as well. That we're going to find unity through dance, and somehow they're going to women who don't fit the cookie cutter mold of Hollywood. I'm sorry. Why did they have to have a man play the part of the daughter Tracy's mom? Like, why couldn't they actually find an actually full figure woman, a larger woman to play the part? Why did they have a guy in drag? To me, that's like the biggest mockery out there. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I used to love the songs from Hairspray, Welcome to the 60s. Where was the other one they sing? The darker the cherry, the sweeter the juice. What was another one that they were singing? I Love You, Baltimore, her opening song. And or The New Girl in Town. The New Girl in Town. Yeah, it's super cute, right? And then I'm realizing they don't mean any of that. They don't care. Like, they're making fun of us. Like, they couldn't even find an actual woman with a full figure to play the part of the mom. They have to have and pretty much that's what we see. You've got the drag queen story hours at the libraries, and we thought it was nothing at first. It was a man in drag, but now that's kind of what we've made the standard out to be. And if you want to talk about, but meanwhile, in Hairspray land, let's keep singing and dancing, and not even actually have a woman be represented, a full figure woman be represented. I am grateful that Queen Latifah was actually able to play the role, of the mother, and her beautiful self, like that at least they did that. And then also, I don't know, they just use comedy. It's like the girl Tracy was also, on the heavier side. That's part of my childhood. You didn't see any characters that looked like an average girl. Like they it's very, very few in between where they put realistic people in these movies, and her character was pretty much, laughed at and mocked throughout the entire film. And if you're not trying to find peace and unity, dude, like I'm still waiting for that, because the race issues, the race wars are still very, 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 very volatile in the country, and it doesn't seem any better. And I'm just to the point where Hollywood can come out here with all their cute little movies, but they're not really accurate, and we know they're not accurate. And it's just really frustrating trying to bring the real message out to the light, but we're all constantly being bombarded with fake. They won't even give you the part. We'll give it. Okay, The Nightmare Before Christmas. I've already ruined this. Skeleton. He's a cool dude. Sally Stitches. Great story. Zero. He goes and tries to spread the message of his variation of Christmas to the people over there. And of course, they don't want it. And it just kind of reminds me of the story of Jesus Christ trying to present the real reason of the Christmas season, trying to let you know that fat suit's kind of a jerk. It's kind of a legalist. It's like, you better be good or else. You better be good or you're not going to get your presents. We're not going to bribe you. Or Jesus is just like, hey, I just want you guys to have fun. I love you regardless if you've been good. I still love you. And Santa Claus is like, you better get in line. You're being watched. You're always being watched. And if you're not good, you're going to get coal. You're not going to get any presents. And you better be good for goodness sake. And everyone absolutely loves Jack Skellington's great heroic role, trying to be himself and spread this message in a different way. And they're just like, we don't want it. And I'm like, yep, that's a nightmare for sure, because a lot of people over here like, we don't want what you have to offer. And I'm over here like, you guys do not. Whatever. That's why it's called The Nightmare Before Christmas. I like to ruin stuff. What else can I ruin for you guys today? Inception. That one's a really good movie. I think you should totally check it out. I find it really interesting that we're having this immigration situation going on in the country. And then if you watch some of the opening scenes town, I think, I can't really mistake any different. They went through different layers and different layers of dreams to implant one thing in this guy's mind. Just one thing. It was so hard. They broke their backs trying to get into this guy's head and implant one idea. Dude, they implant ideas in your head within seconds. And ideas are implanted all, and repetition, and Lazy Boy Furniture. Every time I turn around, they're blasting an ad every three ads, just another Lazy Boy ad. And the fact that it's called Lazy Boy already triggers me. I'm like, I don't know why I wouldn't embrace that. I don't want to get into it. My point is, though, it's not hard to implant ideas into people's mind, and they make it seem like it's so difficult. That's what Hollywood does. The entire movie is about implantation, trying to convince you that it's hard to implant an idea into your head, even though the entire film is them convince your head without a great struggle, when they are easily doing it, and they're doing it all the time. Okay, what's the last one I'm going to ruin for everyone? I think that was it for this week. If I come up with any more movies that I'm just going to give you the dark, realistic version of it, I'll share. I think I'm just going to do it on Fridays because it's just so much fun. I'm like, dude, this is the world that we're living in. Sorry, like I said, I don't know what happened to why I have two different browsers open, two different things recording two different places. I don't understand. Like I said, if you're just now listening or hearing this at any point, day, time, morning, evening, afternoon, dusk, twilight, dawn, I'm still that girl, Jenna Kurosawa, and I'm still streaming on Facebook and YouTube. And you can find my podcast on Anchor FM. So with that, though, let me see where it's going on. Yeah, we still have that going on. So thank God. Thanks be to God for that. So let me actually jump into the real movie review that I was going to do and stop ruining other movies for you. And like I said, if I'm wasting your time, I'm sorry. If not, carry on smartly, soldier. But let me get into my actual movie review, 12 Monkeys. Okay, I'll stop ruining the other ones for you, especially if you haven't seen them. But the very first time I saw it, I believe I was in 6th grade. and my sister shared it with me. And I remember watching the end, and I remember crying because it was yes, if you think about it. Um, so the premise of the movie is he's coming from his current time to the past, forcing them to have to live underground because the living in air conditions are too contaminated with this infectious disease that was leaked. So his character, the premise of his role, Bruce Willis, he is out to get the information. He unfortunately ends up in a psych ward because, of course, he's giving them the information to be insane. Throughout the film, he has the help of a female psychiatrist who has a lot of respect for him. And for some reason, she feels as if she has some. She discovers that what he's saying actually has some credibility, and that the things that is going on around them, he already knows the conclusion. He already is aware of the ending of something. So a lot of time we watch movies like that, we think, oh, it's just a psychological thriller. Oh, it's just a science fiction film that has absolutely zero relevance to our everyday life. And if you truly believe that, then I'm happy for you. You can stay in that thought process. For the other people who have to think that, hey, maybe these movies are trying to tell us something, well, let us see what this movie might be trying to tell us. One of them, I think, is really interesting, considering that we have this current pandemic situation. It doesn't show it starts to spread in the different places it goes first. And then he reveals, and he's talking to the psychiatrist, like, there's going to first, they're just going to think it's an ordinary, something, not a big deal. And then he says, people are just going to start dying. There's going to be a lot of death. And of course, no one believes him. And it's one of those things, like, I'm not going to reveal too much more. You just got to watch it. It's, it also has Brad Pitt as well. Great cast. I like one of his quotes, you know what's crazy? Majority rules. And yeah, right now I'm seeing a lot of the majority ruling, especially when they're talking about the JAV that everyone's required to be, getting, even though it hasn't been studied enough. But who am I to argue and question the science, right? I'm just a layman. I got nothing behind my name except for some other stuff. But yeah, I am no scientist. I'm no doctor. I'm just making observations. But I say that it hasn't really been studied long enough, but whatever. Let's go on. And then one of the reoccurring themes, or little sub-themes in the film, is there's a missing boy from Fresno, California. They keep talking about this news story. And it's very, very interesting because coming alongside this man, and then she managed to get away from him, and then it just seems too far-fetched and unfathomable that no, exactly. It started as an animal rights activist program or something in the film. That's what the original objective of the Army of the 12 Monkeys was. There's a lot more to it, of course. So that's my little, if you want to watch a good psychological thriller or a good sci-fi, something that's going to keep you guessing or wanting to know more and possibly even understand what we're currently seeing today, that is going to be my recommendation for you to check out Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt and the lovely female leading lady. I don't have her name, but she is a psychiatrist, and highly recommend that movie. So with that, though, let me transition to my last segment because I cannot wait to get into this. And as always, if you are offended by what I'm going to be talking about next, I cannot control your feelings, and I think you know what I'm going to say after that. So it is what it is, or whatever. You'll get over it. In the words of Elise, has anyone played SSX Tricky? Please, has someone played SSX Tricky? You remember the character Elise? It was actually voiced by Lucy Liu. An Asian woman voicing a white Canadian woman's character from SSX Tricky. But yeah, when she's knocking people over in the video game, she flat out says, "You'll get over it." Yeah, you'll get over it. So the Lord's Prayer and the Bible. I'm going to tear this one. I'm going to go hardcore on this one because I am so tired of people giving the Lord's Prayer a hard time. Okay, let's just jump into this. People say, don't make your prayers vain or repetitious, or is it constantly going on autopilot, and assuming that if you recite this prayer that it's somehow not as impactful. This is your responsibility to actually, know what you're praying and why you're praying it. So let me put the disclaimer out there. I am no pastor. I am no theologian. I'm just that girl, Jenna Karasoa, on Anchor FM, YouTube Live, and Facebook Live. I have no degree or anything fancy. I'm just making observations from over the years. I've had lots of commentators and Bible studies and discussed with pastors and all these things. And I've come to this amazing conclusion, especially if you watch movies. Like, has anyone seen The Boondock Saints? Does anyone like that movie? I don't know how many movies have characters, whether they're good or evil, who still will recite that prayer. And I don't really think people realize the importance of these words. I mean, the fact that it's written in the Bible, the fact that Jesus covers all things, let me thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, our debtors, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not, and we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And if you want to add a little extra, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy. Like I said, it is kind of an outline first that kind of gets you set apart from us. You're acknowledging his kingdom, submitting to his will on earth as it is in heaven. You're asking for your daily bread, your daily food, your daily provisions. Just a complete general prayer, asking for forgiveness and allowing us, helping us to forgive other people. And yeah, my thing is like the way that it is spaced out, the way that it's laid out for you to realize that there are evil forces out there. There are evil, etc., etc. When you are casting different type of stuff like that, personally have never dabbled too far into it, so I couldn't give you more specifications. But from the research that I've done over the years, there's certain, the cadence, the tempo, the rhythm of things have an impact on what you're saying, what you're expressing. Your voice, vibrations, you put your hand to your throat and you're talking, you can feel the vibrations. These things are carried through the atmosphere, or the air, or whatever. And as much as we like to pretend that, it's just here, we're not immersed in the spiritual world, there's nothing else going on, it's just us, especially to my atheist out there. Sorry, there's a lot more going on. And the words that you speak and the thoughts that you have also very, very important. People may not be able to, but you got some weird stuff going out there in the ether. And it's like, you can assume all you want. You can, the Protestants, a lot of people like, we don't like to, pray recited prayers. I'm like, in this prayer, it is, again, Jesus himself used it, proposed it. It's God's word. Anytime you're speaking God's word, that in itself is powerful and infectious. And I want to transition into the God's word in the Bible after this, and then I'm going to tie all that back into my anti-reviews where I ruined everyone's life because I don't know, it's kind of how you interpret it. But in all seriousness though, you don't have to say the Lord's Prayer. And if you feel that it's vain repetition and that you're just spouting out something that doesn't mean anything, you're free to think that. Absolutely. And if you pray to Jesus, you can pray to him in your own way. You're just talking to him, you're communing with him. That's it. At the same time though, it also, that's what Jesus suggested. And I find it very interesting that over the course of whenever he first brought it out and it was documented and written, it's still all over the place. It's like all over the movies. It's very, very powerful. It's got a lot more going to it. If you, every time in your heart, pray it, if you can't think of anything else to say, if you don't know what to say or how to pray, that's a good way to start. It's something very, very powerful about it. But more so than just this prayer, you've got this entire book. And I've gotten to the point where I've been reading over the last couple of months different people's opinions on the Bible, saying that, it's just a whole bunch of inconsistencies. There's too many contradictions. I don't trust it. It was been written by man, lots of different authors. It's been translated so many times. It's just been butchered. It's not a reliable source of information. And there's a lot of arguments. And there's some things that I don't fully understand. I've had people ask me, well, have you read the entire Bible? Because I was asking about the Satanic Bible or whatever. And I was like, no, honestly, I haven't read the Satanic Bible, all of it. And I haven't read all of the Holy Bible either. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But it doesn't mean that what's written in there is not true and is not accurate and is not spiritually written with a divine purpose and divine headship. This is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people don't quite grasp what they're actually what is actually the Bible. Yes, it's different books, 66 of them. Some of them is poetry. Some of it is history. Many of them are letters, So it's a compilation of these different writing styles. The thing is, though, yes, it's written by different authors. The theme throughout the book is consistent. You've got secularists and people who have no religious affiliation who can examine this Bible and pull out accurate historical facts that line up with other pagan historical documents. When I talk about the same consistent theme, studying the Old Testament and the New Testament, is constantly talking about the same person. All of the themes are constantly overlapping. The prophecies that were in the Bible, thousands and thousands of years prophesied prior, they're coming true. And again, you talk about the pagan kings and nations, King Cyrus. You want to look into King Nebuchadnezzar and what happened to him, the different Persian faiths, situations that happened, different invasions. A lot of it was prophesied. Look into the prophet Daniel and his encounter, how people were getting ready to run up on him, and he speaks a prophecy, and they're just like, well, how did you know that? And more stuff like that, where people, again, if you were to just seriously look into it, there's too many of those things where how did you know that? So many things were it was prophesied and things are actually happening. More reasons. Okay, sorry, let me just make sure this is still going. I'm assuming it's going. Sorry. Okay, so Pen by Different Hands, the situation with the different authors, again, it's when you actually are studying the texts and you're reading them, how is it that there are so many people who are, again, different types of time periods, and they all come to the same conclusions, the same prophecies, talking about the same man? The customs that they had in the Old Testament, a lot of people take issues with the laws and how, how come they had all these laws back then and then all of a sudden they don't have them in the New Testament? Or how come Jesus never specifically said anything about abortion? Or Jesus never said anything about homosexuality? Pulling out these little small things, saying it's not consistent. It's dude, you're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of years worth of human history. You're talking about different cultures and lifestyles and ways of conducting themselves, but there's still a consistent message. There was always talking about. I had debated one person back in the day, and he asked, well, why did he start out with this plan, God, and why did he change his mind, and bring Jesus? And at the time I thought, okay, yeah, why did he change his mind? He didn't change his mind. That was already the original plan, to have Jesus come to the earth. He was already there from the beginning, and a lot of people don't realize Jesus is just pretty much a human avatar of God. When you guys play The Sims or you make your own little avatar, your little cartoon characters, Jesus is essentially the avatar of God. Like you can have a physical representation of God, and that is why he is called the Son of God. And another thing people don't understand, it's like, how can he be fully God and fully man at the same time? It's like, that's the thing. We can't fully understand it, but at the same time, I'm sure people can explain to you. You can talk to Alexa and things happen, right? You're like, hey, Alexa, if we're impressed by being able to talk and have things respond and do when things happen, if we can do that, and we're like, wow, that's amazing, right? Why couldn't you believe that that's kind of how other things started? Like, I've heard people theorize that God's essentially, he's just energy. He's just a culmination of all the energy and of light and a thought. He's just a gigantic brain of energy, and I don't know how you describe it. And if you're trying to explain how the internet works in the web, and we've been able to manufacture that, I think God looks at us and says, oh, that's really cute what you guys have been able to accomplish. Like, that's adorable what you guys have done. I'm like, sorry, there's just so much more. But I'm willing to admit though that there's a lot of translations that have been changed. Lots of debates about what has been altered. Like, for example, like the Song of Solomon. Um, there's part of it where, like, one of the female characters, she described herself as like having dark skin, and if you look into other translations, they kind of change that, and like, you don't want to say that the woman was black or she had darker skin. You kind of want to gloss over those details. Yeah, there's definitely some things that have changed that we can examine, but it does not mean that the words that have been preserved are still not accurate and historically accurate. And there's, again, all the prophecies haven't even gotten into anything specific. I'm just kind of doing a little mini intro. I'll go into some more detail. I will go into a lot more detail this coming week. I'm kind of just going over a quick gloss over. But there's a lot more. The fact that all these different authors who are penning these things at different stages all have the same message, the reoccurring theme about God's goodness, about Jesus, about what his plan was for